Okay, welcome to the live stream here of the Purple Squirrel Cafe test stream on August 21st, 2025. And I just saw in my studio that there's one person who's actually viewing right now. And I think that might be the person in the background that I'm going to bring on into the screen in a second, Megan Elizabeth Morris, and our partner in illicit criminal activity today, Susan Hasty. So I'll bring them onto the screen right now. Pop, you're there. You're on the screen. And I'm assuming, Megan, hey, Susan, I'm assuming, Megan Elizabeth, you can hear me on YouTube. Can you not?
Ryan Erickson, your sound works on YouTube.
Fan-fucking-tastic. I love it. Okay, so and YouTube will immediately well, I don't know if they'll we're not monetized anyway. I can say fuck all I want. So okay, so the way this looks, and Megan Elizabeth, you can see how it looks on YouTube. I'm like the giant here, so I'm saying, you know, I'm giant on the screen, and we'll do some other things. I can do any number of little tricks in the background. As the host, I can take you off the screen, and talk to the world and say how lovely you are, or how awful you're being, and I've taken you off the screen, and then I can, and if you see that, can you see that I've taken you off the screen on YouTube? Yes, you can see that. So naughty, naughty, naughty. And now you're looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing? Boy, I'm so dirty mouth today. And we have, so so there's actually another person watching on YouTube right now. And I'm playing with a Zoom meeting in the background. You can't see it yet, but now you can see that Zoom meeting, the second person in the background other than Megan Elizabeth. And Susan is there, Megan Elizabeth is there. You're broadcasting on YouTube. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop back into the Zoom call, and we'll see me here as I view my, if I show my self view, and we are in gallery mode. And Megan Elizabeth, you will see that on YouTube, I am also on the screen, and I'm kind of like this kind of person. I'm a giant here. I'm like Galactus here, and then you're like the Fantastic Four on the other side. So now the Zoom meeting is totally up. All right, and this is now you're watching the Zoom meeting, but you're hearing the audio on YouTube. The audio on YouTube is coming from my mic in StreamYard. So the StreamYard audio is going to YouTube. You're hearing the audio in Zoom from the Zoom mic here. So I have to be, in order for my audio to come through on YouTube, I have to be in the background. Or
it
my
works so good.
Yeah.
It works so good. And not only does it work so good, the thing that I'm just like, wow, how did he even do that? Is that your StreamYard headshot synced with your audio at the same time as your Zoom headshot is synced with your audio. There's no delay there.
Ooh.
The audio worked all the way through. What did you do? What magical, amazing! That's amazing.
Well, the thing that was the key part, and someone actually was watching this. It was not one of the three of us, apparently, so which is interesting. But they've checked out by now, so whatever. I wish they would have left a comment saying, "What on earth are you doing?" How did I do this? Well, it was just a matter of I have to be I have to be on the StreamYard screen, or I have to, my mic has to be turned on StreamYard. So what was happening before is I took myself off of, I went backstage in StreamYard. Why would I think, and thinking, boy, this is behind baseball. So I was thinking that my audio would come from Zoom into StreamYard and go out to YouTube. No bueno. I have to be on audio in StreamYard. So now at this point, I could also do something. I'm going to say, okay, you're on the penalty box. I've now removed you from the YouTube stream, and now I'm going full self on YouTube. So if you look in YouTube, you'll see that I'm blah da 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 da, that I am full screen on YouTube, looking like I'm talking to nobody at all. So Megan Elizabeth, you want to hold your phone up to the camera so that Susan can see what's going on? Yeah. So right now, you see that I'm gesticulating to. It's weird. Now people are seeing my half of the conversation and not you, because and yet. Recursive rhyming.
Anyway.
Anyway, I love it too, and I've now brought you up. I'm getting an important phone call right now, and so I'm going to go off. I'm going to tell Derek I'm going to call. See, this is live. Okay. And I'm going to call Derek.
Success we have leads to the next success.
I'm going to call Derek and say, okay, so I'm going to go off video now, off audio now.
Okay.
So, wait. So before I go, all right. So I'm gonna hide myself view.
Ghost in the machine.
Blah blah blah. So it's just the two of you.
So we're gonna be we're still broadcasting.
You're broadcasting. You're going live on Telegram. You're going to YouTube. You're going everywhere.
Okay, Susan, talk for a moment, and I'm just gonna check and see what this looks like, and then I'll come back in.
Okay. What you just said was priceless in terms of happening in the moment. What is emerging, and that is the essence of affordances. Affordances is a term that if you say it it's actually now spread through about 4 or 5 different disciplines. So out of not just the social sciences is what it was originally studied as. But it's now in sports, it's in design, it's in training and architecture, of course. It's always been in architecture. But what is significant is, and worthy of mention, is that affordances, one, require degrees of freedom. So degrees of freedom being, I have options, I have multiple ways I can maneuver around to get my needs met, to achieve my goals, to solve my problems. But the essence of affordances, as originally intended by Gibson, was that it is happening through what is termed direct perception, which means that it's not going through your mental, analytical, intellectual brain. It's coming out of your body, your movement solutions. So the reason I bring that up is because oftentimes, especially in terms of what is being coded in AI, is there is a presumption that your affordances can be designed for you. Now that's important, because if you have an AI agent that you're maybe over trusting, is giving you good advice, it's basing it on a set of assumptions and models and premises that either do not apply to you or would actually go against the grain of who you are, what you are, and how you operate.
Or cause terrible harm.
That's right.
That's major conversation.
Yep.
And it's an intersection of experiencing that we have to keep dialoguing about in order to even be able to recognize what's going on.
Yeah. And so that's why bringing affordances into the conversation has exponential power.
So I would like to talk about how we want to most simply structure next invitations into I think the smallest increments, maybe like 3 base points, and make them as basic and simple. And I mean, this is not simple territory, but the smallest points that we can take and say, here's 1 and 2 and 3 that we will release in order. We will identify the way that we're organizing intuitive public radio streams is happening on the fly by the seat of our pants. Which
yes, right. We're practicing our affordances. That's the whole point.
and so if we can see,
yes, I'm back
what
online
are
for my call.
what are the first
They
3
can't hear me.
kindergarten level
You
points
can hear me.
for people who
I'm
are
gonna go
stressed in their
back out
lives,
of
and they have a lot of
StreamYard
pressures
and
going on,
into
and they have a
Zoom,
lot of
and maybe you'll
demands
see me
on
back
their
here. Maybe
time
you
and their
won't. We'll see.
cognitive function. And wow, how can they possibly give their attention to another thing? But we're saying, hey, this is very, very important. We'd like to invite you to spend this small amount of time, even a half. I mean, if we can identify a half-hour session.
Yeah. Actually, I'm thinking
if we can do it shorter,
yeah,
I think
actually
that's better.
Even shorter. Yeah, right. So
Ryan, it works.
Help me kind of walk through some ideas, and you know, we all learn differently. It may be that when I'm talking about this, is that I'm defaulting to my own personal need and wanting to be able to connect the big picture with what's on the ground. How do I do that? Where do I start? And so the praxis itself is not complicated. Okay, the content I've been sharing with you, you have to get your arms around, simply because you have to learn the rules of the game, which is basically the language. So we've talked about the language, and again, we're just talking about, how do you talk about your capabilities, your constraints, your consequences, your affordances, your resources, and capacity. Okay, that's those are the key, because they're interlocking. Okay, there's a way, this is how we're going to uncover real value. So from why do I want to do this? Which is what I'm assuming that most people are asking themselves. Why do I want to invest my time and energy into even learning about it? Which is what you're saying. What is the smallest thing they're going to be able to take away? And so once you understand.
So okay, so let me stop there. What is the
Okay,
smallest thing
thank
you want them to take away? Period. Question mark. Right. So from your perspective as the architect of liquid tradescaping, active boomology, liquid praxis, all these things,
right.
the Susan verse, right? So I've kind of been calling it that. If you were, I think I've asked this before, is all mics working? So I'll tell Megan about this. So we've talked about this before in terms of, if you only had, let's say you only had 30 minutes, right, to get from 0 to I can't wait to bring this into my life. What do you think? And then maybe Megan, Elizabeth, we can all go in that. What do you think would be the one thing that you believe would turn the switch for a novitiate?
So I'm going to share this, and then it would be kind of interesting to riff off of how people learn how to play music, because there's a correlation there. Again, this is not analytical work. This is not intellectual work. This is nervous system work, somatic work, experiential. Okay. And so the other part is the cadences. How do I actually process information? This is all about how we're processing information. right? So I would, if you said, what is the one cadence, Susan? What is that one melody that we can put together and we can play for people? The first one, just the first one, because it's a ladder. Okay, I mean we're going to increase levels of density once we are secure in that basic fundamental cadence of starting out. Okay, and I'll throw two at you, and then you can say, well, this resonates more with me. But the primary one is going to be a tune, a tend, a tone. Here's where we're going to bring in the healing work right in the beginning.
Okay.
Because when you feel like you're injured, we need to stop and attune.
Attunement. So attendance is a different thing, and atonement,
That's
kind
right.
of activating those concepts.
Are we resonating? What are we attending to? What do we need to attune for? What do we need to compost? But yeah,
Okay.
so
Okay.
hold
Okay.
Hold that one. Hold that one. Let me give you the second one. I know, but you'll see how they're starting to scaffold. Okay, and I won't go over all 8.
You're already sharing 3 whole tunes with me.
That's right. Those are notes. Those are notes. Okay.
No, they're not. But from a musician perspective,
this is you can help me put the
the
being edible. But
3
let
melodies,
me just give you the second one because you can see how they build up. We don't want to put people into a situation where they are going to get stuck or overwhelmed. What we want them to be able to use it, and it may be that they can use one or the other. The other cadence, which goes along with it, is release. I'm sorry. It's actually are you familiar with flow?
I'm very familiar with Csikszentmihalyi.
This was a beautiful course I took called Flow Fundamentals, and it came out of that. And it is when we're going into flow, we're practicing flow. Okay. You're going to start with, am I struggling? What do I need to release? Flow, recover. I'll do it again. You're at your edge. Okay, you're at that flow state. You're entering that flow state. So you're struggling. You're starting to struggle a little. What do you need to release? So struggle, release, flow, recover. Okay.
So
that's the second cadence.
All right. So then, okay. So there's the body work, the embodiment work is that initial 3.
It's not body work. I mean, it's just.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna reflect to you what I think it is, and what we'll do. So there's the attune, attend, and atone, right? So if I know what those mean in the context of what the offer is, that's a win. Okay. So I got that. So I want to know attune, attend, atone. I know what they mean. I know why they're important, which is the first thing I was going to ask after we went, because I was thinking, after half hour, you need to know that. All right. So what those things are, why they're important, and why are they important in the context of what you're offering, and then the right. Okay.
I'm not offering it. We're designing a space for.
Oh, okay. This is me trying to make sense of this and to explain it to somebody who's going to walk off the street, stumble into their YouTube feed, and hear us riffing on this, and go like, wonder what the hell's going on. So this the second part, right? So the second piece that we're talking about is this idea of reaching flow, and how that relates to the attunement, the attendance, and the atonement that you're talking about. That's okay. So that's connecting that. So before you get between this first triad to the second triad, there's the actual concept of knowing what I know what Csikszentmihalyi is. I get it. I totally am on it. But not everybody does. And if the assumption, hey, I'm going to take you off screen if you don't. So I'm threatening you. And Sprightly wants to get out. So the idea of, are you assuming that to enter the space is the price of admission that you know what flow is?
No,
Okay,
it's
so
not.
so
And
that
in
so
fact,
that means we have to go. The most dumbass way I explain flow, right? Is the perfect balance between challenge and skill, right?
okay.
So all right. So we've got.
You're trying to bring in the analytical, you're trying to bring in the theory. And what I'm saying is that bear in mind that let's keep praxis around the situation, the simulation of we're trying to negotiate. We are trying to we're trying to get out of whatever hole we're in. We're trying to use the configurables, because if you bring it out of that, then you're going into an abstract level of thought, which is not going to do anyone good. They can go read a book. What we want to do is make sure we're centering everything back into how do I use the configurables. Now, where
But do you want people to be able to articulate that at the end of a half hour of experience?
articulate what?
Articulate like what we're talking about, the attune, attend to tone, and what flow
Right.
means to that.
I want them.
You want to provide an experience of that.
I want them to experience it, and I want them to also understand that to think that they're going to learn everything that needs to be learned within this 10-minute, 30-minute session or 4-hour session is
That's
going
ridiculous.
to diminish their value. What they need to do is to reflect on their experience so that they can apply it and transfer the knowledge that they're learning about themselves. Because when I say learning in this context, and this is so key here, okay, is that ideally speaking, we want to put people into a situation where they are self-evidencing. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is that we want them to become their experts of their underwriting. We are not here to give them advice. We are not here to offer a prescription. Okay. We are here to excite their own personal essence and to understand that they are powerful beyond belief. They will not only practice this for themselves, but also model it for others.
Right. So what is
Ideally speaking, this is about modeling.
So
I love how you're reacting.
Well, I'm going to take this into play. How does that differ, and what is the distinction between what you're describing and a level of acute self-awareness?
Great question. So when we talk about self-awareness, there is a pretty much a cultural assumption that we can be aware of our self-awareness. And we're saying, no, you can't. We want you to be able to listen to your level of coherence, congruency. We want you listening, and this is really important. Okay, this is really important. Okay, this is really important.
You're using the words "we" and "you," and that it totally got to the point. Well, who's the we? We are talking to you. Is this us? So treat me like I'm an idiot.
I don't think you're an idiot.
I know. I'm saying to treat me like that. Well,
you're asking me to treat the audience like an idiot.
Okay, so that's what you're talking about.
Okay, well, that is, but understand that, and you bring up such a beautiful point here, and I'm hoping we can circle this back around to how do people learn music? Okay, how do people learn art? Is they don't cling to one note. They don't try to repeat one note over and over and assume that they're going to learn to play music. They learn to listen to the meaning and the feel of the music. They learn how the brush stroke itself is an act. They don't focus on one color. They focus on what is flowing here. What is when we couple ourselves to these ideals that we're supposed to know this already, or we got to cram it into our vat in a brain. And what we're trying to help people do is simply, so from the position of liquid praxis, okay, we are designing a space with constraints. And what that means is that we need to be able to manipulate the space that they're thinking within, that they're feeling in, so that they don't feel like they're lost in the world and they've got to go out here and search everything. And so being clear about what is we're going to practice today is very important, because we are, by virtue of learning, we are trying to compare things. And that's kind of where I go back to, if people are coming into this space and they're assuming that they're going to be able to bring in a lot of heuristics from other disciplines or apply language, they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle much more, quite frankly. And this, I've said this before, this is why it's more difficult to do this with people who have MBAs than it is from somebody that has not been conditioned within the business mythology, because they're trying to bring in these principles that they've learned is a word. So we have to let go of what that definition is, to be able to listen to the meaning underneath it. And that's kind of aligns with when you talk about music. I can tell you have a much more sophisticated level of understanding about music than I do. If I like a tune, it probably is because I like the words. I mean, that's how crazy or unsophisticated my level of understanding and listening to music. So this is completely new, and that's kind of where I let go. I had to uncouple to be able to design this or architect it, and I love that. But to do that, I had to leave the entire education field behind, and I had to bring in sports. I had to bring in what we naturally think about in terms of training our nervous system, because that's what you do when you're training for music. That's what you do in sports. You're training your nervous system to discover opportunities for action, to build up a capability so that you can recognize and act on affordances.
Okay.
It's when you're coupled with your environment. And when we're in our heads, we are never in our environment.
Okay. So as usual, there's a ton of stuff that is very dense to unpack here about that. The first piece that that I want to make a distinction on was about the one note thing, right? That in order, and the one note thing, it's interesting because the way I learned to improvise was one note at a time, right? But but the thing about it was I knew how to I had to learn how to play the cornet, right? So when I went from zero, learning from nothing, I learned to play the cornet, and I had to learn the embouchure. I had to learn what the fingerings were, and all that kind of stuff. So you start with knowing what an embouchure. That's how you put that in a mouthpiece, and you just start with the mouthpiece, and it sounds like whatever. Put the mouthpiece on the horn. It sounds different. Okay, and that's with no keys pressed on the cornet. Okay. And the kind of breath you have when you do that depends on the quality of tone that you have. This is just one note. Learning how to play, go from 0 to 1 note, right?
Yes.
And you could, even after one note, and maybe this is an interesting experiment to try. Okay, now that you know how to play one note, you know how to breathe, play, embouchure, and then, okay, now you can go bop, 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 or just bop, 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 bop. And you could go from now I can go from 0 to making a I wouldn't say beautiful, because you got to practice to make a beautiful tone.
Yeah.
And you could go from that to one note, and then, how do I, when I improvise the rhythm, I'm choosing different amounts of space to put in between that note. I'm choosing a different eventually I will choose a different articulation, a different dynamic, all those kinds of things. And
I got to capture that. I got to capture that.
Yeah. So
what did you just say?
Well, you'll when you take that, you're capturing a different dynamic, a different timbre, a different amount of space between the notes, and the sophistication of all of those things develop as you go. So, I mean, really, okay, I'll let you capture for a second if you want to do that. Good bet it's recorded. Megan Elizabeth is being a very astute recorder here. But yeah, so you can go. This is the idea. Okay. I know I need to do all of those things eventually. In order to play like Miles Davis did, or name the trumpet, Wynton Marsalis, whatever you want to name, in order to get to Wynton Marsalis, you got to be able to play an open B flat.
Yeah.
Or what we would call it, if you're reading music and knowing these notes, you're going to say it's a C, but the trumpet is in B flat. So it's an actual B flat concert when you call it a C on the trumpet. Okay. And then, okay, so I can make the sound. I can do different kinds of dynamics. I change my breath and say, it's like this, it's like that, this, and the sophistication of that changes, the nuance changes. And okay, now let's learn the B flat major scale. Ba, 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 ba. Or maybe let's learn ba, ba, let's learn two notes that you could learn the open C, and then you learn the D, which is the first. So you got to learn the fingerings, the instrument. So all of this stuff has to happen. So there's the scaffolding of knowing what music is. So I could go for another 3 hours on this, but I'm realizing. So let's stop there.
And everything you said was music to my ears. Okay. But the reason why is because the timing, the tempo, the tone, the spacing, all of that is exactly what we're shooting for here. Now, let me translate this back into the purpose of we're adaptive coordination. How do we do this? We as collective intelligence, our own beings, okay, our collective intelligence. So you've got a lot of different information there. So to be able to give people line of sight, okay, the challenge that this has that music doesn't is that people know what music is. They're going to struggle initially trying to get their heads around the fact that what are we trying to accomplish with this practice, and and so I can give you many different things. Let's start with we want you to not feel like you have to ask for permission.
Right. Okay. That's
huge. That's pretty huge. Now. And so, but that's only one aspect of it. So I do want to kind of circle back around to, and I may be, this is where I need your help in being able to chunk this into a absorbable bite, which is why your music is so valuable here, is that the element, maybe the note, maybe the melody, is the movement solution that people come up with. And let me put that into context, because I'm not talking about the physical only movement. I'm talking about the expectations that you bring into a situation. How are you hearing those notes and collapsing into a final decision that is going to be coming a final expression of the choices that you make. That's the movement solution that is, in other words, when I talk about scenario in praxis, Okay, I'm really talking back along the lines that you're talking about, very slow processes, because what I find when I throw people into liquid tradescaping is they flounder. So this is why Praxis was designed to help people prepare and gain confidence and be able to move around in the tradescaping space, because there you've got more pressure, which is fine. But we don't want to take somebody who wants to learn how to box and throw them into a ring with other people who who don't even realize their own power because they were just so accustomed to it. I mean, these muscle memories are inherited. Okay, that's where your legacy system lies, and that's why a lot of people who are very entitled, they can't see that you don't have the same affordances they do. Now, so this is why this will benefit them as much as it will you. The leaders need to understand why other people can't follow directions.
That I really like it if we could come back to that topic frequently. That is really, really important.
And when we when we wrap up, when we wrap up on a session, what we will do is share how we can express what affordances that I saw available to me. And so if now you see I saw an affordance that you didn't see, now that becomes part of your repertoire to practice next time. You see?
Ooh, wow. So I'm gonna turn off the live stream here in a second. I'm gonna disappear from the Zoom. Now you can hear me on the Zoom as well. And I am going to mute you on the Zoom, and I'll be back in a moment.
I have to head out right at 5, so like
all right, so Megan has to send seconds. Out. Check out at 5.
So thank you.
I'll see y'all later.
So
and
Ryan is talking. Oh, is he talking on StreamYard?
I'm talking to Stream.
Is he? Oh, I'm not even looking at